Okay, chapter 20, a good imagination gone wrong. Have you ever been afraid, like Anne, of a place like, quote, the haunted wood? Like, have you ever created something like that just makes it so terrifying, like, you can't go there? My imagination, like, when it imagines bad things is, like, even worse than Anne's. Like, I mean, not worse, I guess. I mean, like, I think even more powerful than Anne's. So, like, I can imagine everything from dark monsters creeping out of the shadows in my room to burglars breaking into my house. Like, once there was like these flashes of light, and I was thinking, and I imagined that burglars were signaling each other with flashlights. I know it sounds crazy. It was actually a lightning storm. It was a thunderstorm and there was lightning. I knew that. Like, I knew that those were lightning, flashes of lightning. But I kept thinking, but what if? Even though, like, it made perfect common sense, and even though I could see the lightning bolts. I mean, I could actually see the lightning bolts. I could just see these flashes of lights. So I was like, what if? But these don't last long and they're not very powerful, but I totally understand Anne. Going through a dark wood alone, like that, that's sort of creepy. Like, that's sort of scary, right? I mean, like, I don't know if I would have been comfortable doing it. So, what do you think? Do you think that the best way to get over something like the haunted wood is to just go through it and get it over with? Or do you think that you should just let it go and it'll soon disappear on its own? I don't know, like, just marching through it seems a bit harsh, but letting it go, I'm not very sure if that strategy would actually work. I think that it would just be best to take a nighttime stroll with somebody, and that would be, through the haunted wood, and that would make me feel, hey, it's not dangerous at all. And along with that, maybe something like okay, yeah, and I think that just marching through the haunted wood is like the best option. But I don't know, like, it sort of does seem cruel though if you think about it, but at the same time it's something that would be preferred if broken. That would be broken, right? So if you have an Anne, would you have cried when Mr. Phillips went away as the vacation started? Because, like, think about it, like, Anne cried even though Mr. Phillips had been a pretty horrid teacher to her. Do you think you would have cried? I mean, I don't cry even when a grade ends, but, like, mostly I'm just like, bye, it's vacation, I finished another grade, so hey, I mean, it's a good life. That's what I would be thinking at the last day of school. So now they go on to ministers, right? And I'm actually just gonna skip a bit of this, but still, what type of minister do you think you would like most? Like, would you like, and there's like several examples listed here that will give you some idea. For example, like, one says, his theology isn't sound, there's no imagination, somebody has too much, another person told funny stories that made people laugh, and had no dignity. So what do you think? Well, how would the perfect minister be? I would like a sensible person with just the right amount of imagination. And I'll be fine if he told funny stories. Laughter is the best medicine, right? As long as he didn't make it interrupt anything, I don't think that it would be like a terrible thing, right? It wouldn't be terrible if something lightened up the mood for a few moments. And have you ever met somebody but just thought, wow, and thought, wow, that person is like amazing. I really want to be like her. She's like my hero, like Mrs. Allen was to Anne. And another question I have is, when you were reading this chapter and when you read about Anne preparing the cake, what were you thinking? Were you thinking, oh, this cake is going to be amazing? Or were you thinking, something's going to go wrong? I was thinking that something was going to go wrong. I was reading it out and I was like, it looks perfect, but I just know in classic Anne fashion, she's going to get into a scrape somewhere. I just don't know where, but I knew it would be somewhere. I just couldn't figure out where, and then, yeah, right? So, I was totally expecting this moment, but when it came, what did you think? Did you think, 1, it's all Marilla's fault? Or did you think, 2, it's all Anne's fault? So, whose fault? Who do you think is more to blame? I think it's Marilla this time, because she put the the anodyne liniment in the vanilla bottle. But I also think that maybe, and I know she had a cold, but I think that maybe Anne should have paid a bit more attention, because I've had a lot of colds and I can still smell very well. So, but in the end, I think that it was more Marilla's fault. What do you think? Now, let's see. I just want to find something. Okay. Let's go on to chapter 22. Anne is invited out to tea. So, Anne is invited to tea. And actually, this is like a really short chapter. There isn't actually much to talk about. But one thing I did want to just say in this chapter is, do you think that Anne, right now she gets into a lot of scrapes and things, but she can behave. She can stay out of trouble at times. So how do you think that she will be when she's an adult? Will she still get into a lot of scrapes, or will she, get out of the habit of messing up at times? And also, do you think that Miss Stacy is going to be a nice teacher? And this is a female teacher is coming, right? So how do you think that this will affect Anne? Because now, so what I'm trying to say is, will Miss Stacy be more fairer to Anne? Will she, understand Anne better? Or do you think that she's going to be even crueler than Mr. Phillips? So, how do you think that Miss Stacy is going to work out? And to finish this, when Anne began talking, when Anne, after breaking down about the cake, right? She collapsed onto the bed, and she thought that it was Marilla who was beside her, but it turned out to be Mrs. Allen. Were you expecting that, or not? Just wanted that. Just a quick question. And last question, and I just wanted to do this. Okay. I forgot to ask this question before. Have you ever been carried away by something, and have you ever been just swept away by something? And this time it was imagination, but it doesn't have to be imagination. It can be anything. It can be like excitement for a new technology. Like maybe you're really excited about headsets, right? And you're like, I need to get one, but you don't. And what I'm saying is, have you ever been, but in the end, it just, it's just too much. Like you you just get too obsessed with it. So have you ever had that in your life? 100%. I've gotten like totally obsessed in a lot of things, and then I'm like, it wasn't very worth it. or I just got too obsessed with something, and in the end it just didn't work out. So that's a problem. And one last question for real. And she gets really excited about something, right? And like but when something goes wrong, or when things just don't work out to how she wanted them to be, she just sort of collapses, right? She collapses. But if things go well, her mood skyrockets, right? Meanwhile, Marilla's just steady, right? She doesn't feel great excitement, but that also means that she doesn't have great expectations that could be broken, which means the impact of the collapse isn't as profound. So what do you think? Would you rather be Marilla, who you aren't very excited or things like that, you don't fly high with joy like Anne, but in the end, if things go wrong, you wouldn't really suffer, as for Anne, who flies high with joy, but if things go wrong, crashes, right? Like, for example, the cake incident, right? Or there's a lot of other incidents, but just let's focus on the cake incident. So what do you think? I would still prefer to be Anne, because that feeling of flying high with joy and anticipation and excitement is just something that, it's just an amazing feeling. So I would just be like, so that feeling, and there's also always the chance that things will work out. And if it fails, if it crashes, then too bad. But I can't not be Marilla. I mean, I just can't. I just always get overexcited about little things. I just can't help it. Like, it happens to me all the time, and I think it's just part of me. So I think that's something that Anne and I have in common. What do you think you have in common with Anne? And I'm not talking about physical traits either. You know what I mean, right? Like, do you think that you share her ability to get into scrapes, or her ability to charm people, or her imagination, or her love for talking? What do you think? So, I hope they enjoyed these 6 chapters in L.M. Montgomery's Anne of Green Gables. One other book recommendation I have for you today is, wait for it, Mixed Up by Gordon Corman. This is an amazing book that was released in the summer of 2023. I really like this book. I just really love it. So check this amazing book out. It's called Mixed Up. And yeah, it is awesome. Really awesome. So I hope that you enjoy. Gordon Corman has written a lot of amazing books like Restart, War Stories, Linked, Slacker, The Masterminds, The Fort, and like so many other amazing books that have just made me respect him so much. Oh yeah, and also there is the Swindle series, which were amazing. Like, it was one of the best books that he ever wrote, ever. The Swindle series is just like, you have to read them. You cannot read them. And then there's also remember The Masterminds? That was really nice. And there was also Unplugged, which was amazing. And sorry for not remembering, The Super Teacher Project was stellar. And yeah, his books are just like, I don't know why, but his books are just so good. You're gonna find out why soon enough, if you haven't already. And there's also okay, I don't remember the name of the book. I read it recently, but now I forgot. But it's an amazing book about time travel that you have got to check out. But whatever the case, yeah, Gordon Corman has written some amazing books, so you have to check him out. And that is my book recommendation for the day. But now let's go rewind more than a century back to Anne of Green Gables. So yeah, I mean, actually there isn't much to talk about it. So I hope that you enjoyed these 6 chapters, and I'll see you next time. Bye!